I'm going to call to order the February 3rd, 2026 regular meeting of the Chino Valley Planning and Zoning Commission. I know that clock doesn't say 6 o'clock, but this little bitty one here does. So I'm going to call this meeting to order. We have a full commission up here tonight, and I wanted to recognize that Mr. Steve Stotts, who is our new member here tonight, and thank you for showing up and being on board.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to lead the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, could you all please silence your cell phones? And I'm going to say a blessing over the meeting tonight. Dear Lord, we thank you so much for this opportunity to come before the town of Chino Valley to serve the community to the best of our abilities. We ask that you give us wisdom, discernment, help us to make right and proper choices, and that you would bless the efforts of all the folks that are in this building tonight in this meeting. We thank you for all of these blessings. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right, so the other thing is I see that sign back there. If any more signs come up, get rattled around, or if there's any disturbance during this meeting, you will be escorted off premises immediately. The last meeting, you guys got your chance to have your say, and many of you spoke, 4 hours and over 50 people. So if you brought these placards to turn that thing around right there, right at the end of the aisle. If you brought those placards here to continue to have your voice in this meeting, then you are breaking the rules of the agenda. Please keep them down, and I will not have any slack on this particular rule. Anybody that's been to the meetings before knows that if you are here, that you will conduct yourself as American citizens with decorum, maturity, politeness, and those rules will still be in effect this evening for everybody that's in this room. Thank you. So I'm going to move the consent calendar to the end of the meeting because most of that is housekeeping business, and we can get right to what most of you are here for this evening. We're going to move to action item number 1, continued from the January 6, 2026 meeting, for deliberation and decision by the commission. That is D1, ZC 2025-03, for a zoning change, and CUP 2025-05, which is a conditional use permit. This is a request by Heidi Short on behalf of the Perkins Ranch Incorporated for a rezone of approximately 390 acres of land from single-family residential, minimum 2 acres, to agricultural residential, minimum 36 acres, AR 36. And a request for a conditional use permit for the construction of a privately owned and operated airfield and associated uses. Located east of the intersection of Perkinsville Road and Forest Service Road 318A in Chino Valley, Arizona. Has anybody on the commission spoken to anybody outside of this meeting about this matter?
I've discussed it with staff.
Turn your microphone on.
I discussed it with neighbors, friends, one being Councilman Hope. He's a friend and neighbor. We were just out at the desert, just bullshit, just talk.
Okay, so I've spoken with town staff and Mr. Tom Perkins concerning education on flight, the definition of flight, operations, and various other terminologies that I wasn't clear on at the last meeting. Okay, so staff presentation, Will.
Alrighty. Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, members of Commission. Will Dingy, your Assistant Director of Development Services here with the Town of Chino. As read, this is Part 2, Perkins Airfield, for the requested zone change, SR2 to AR36 for approximately 390 acres, and the subsequent conditional use permit for their airfield and associated uses. So where are we at in the process so far? On January 6th, we had the Planning and Zoning Commission hearing. That item was continued to February 3rd, today. January 20th, we had a joint Town Council and Planning and Zoning study session. today, February 3rd, which is the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation. And then based upon tonight, if the commission forwards forwards a recommendation to town council, it will go to public hearing on February 23rd at the location of the Grace Church here in Chino Valley at 4 South. And then deliberation and discussion will be held on February 24th at Town Hall here. Ooh. Okay. Weird, I got slide transitions, my bad. Alrighty, so since our January 6th meeting, we've had a number of clarifications and refinements to staff report and information going forward here. And this is probably one of the bigger ones. Flights versus touch and goes versus maneuvers versus operations. It's confusing. Figuring out the nomenclature from aviators to educators to land use planners to just general public. It's hard to wrap your heads around. So through dialogue that we had on January 6th, the study session on the 20th, and just hearing citizen dialogue itself, the term touch and go seems to be the easiest concept that everybody kind of seems to be on the same page of. So a touch and go, we've decided to change the language in the recommendations and the conditions to touch and goes instead of operations. And a touch and go is defined as a single landing and a takeoff. And then based on the January 6th and the study sessions, we added that limit, a 40 touch and go per hour, 110 per day, which equates out to annually 40,150 annually. Additionally, we got clarification on the airspace flight pattern on there. The original submittal resulted in the assumption that flights were going to be traveling from from Prescott Airport, flying directly over Prescott Valley and then Prescott Valley North to the airfield. There has been additional dialogue between Embry-Riddle, the Prescott Airport, and I believe the FAA. I'll have them walk through any questions you have on that and then describe the actual motion pattern itself. Lots of questions were brought up about their additional Embry-Riddle's additional training. Where do they do their their stall outs and other maneuvers that are not touch and goes? We have the training area map here. I'm not sure if you call it a quadrant map because there's more than 4, but I'll let you guys talk through that as well. General plan. So this one has been, everybody has an opinion on what role is. And so getting into the overall vision statement, Chino Valley is a peaceful and rural community that supports recreation and regional tourism. We are committed to preserving our community's expansive vistas, endless grasslands, and starry night skies while supporting limited and sustainable growth. Our proud agricultural and equestrian tradition makes Chino Valley a desirable place to build a future. Right there in our general plan. Big statement, a lot of opinions on it. So this vision statement does not describe rural as nothing ever happens, though. It describes rural as protecting our open space, dark skies, and agricultural land while allowing limited and sustainable growth. That word "while" matters here. It means both things happen at the same time. From staff's point of view, this isn't a question of whether we like airplanes or not. The question is, does this project preserve open land, limit subdivision development, manage growth, and protect our community's character? Staff believes that with the zoning, phasing, and conditions in place, it does just this. This project allows for the applicant to keep thousands of acres in long-term family ownership and in ranch and open land use. Development is limited to the airfield and associated uses on the majority, while the majority of the property remains open and undeveloped. In staff's opinion, this directly supports the general plan's vision for the town of Chino Valley. Comparing airports and airfields here in Yavapai County, there's been a lot of dialogue on this, specifically Cottonwood, Baghdad, Seligman. So we as a town, don't have direct access to all things GIS within Yavapai County, but we have we have access to some. And displayed here on the screen is the Seligman Airport and a buffer of 2 miles. It shows Coconino County, boundary, and then Yavapai County here in green. Within 1 mile and 2 miles here, we've got representation of buildings. This is the data that we have access to as the town. We don't have access to the actual land use that's going on out there or their zoning directly, but we do have access to the county assessor's most recent up-to-date building assessments. And for this map, it's displaying buildings that are greater than 800 square feet. So the assumption on staff's end is that if the building is over 800 square feet, there is some sort of occupancy of that building. Not saying that it's all residential, but there is some level, whether it's residential, commercial, something going on there. And so based on this, that's what we've just shown here as part of the data. So within a 2-mile radius of the Seligman Airport, there are 404 buildings that are greater than 800 square feet. For the Baghdad Airport, same metrics, 1 mile and 2 mile buffer. Within 1 mile, there's 292. And then the total over the 2 miles is 706 buildings greater than 800 square feet. Cottonwood is a whole different beast itself. You have 2 municipalities along with the county in the immediate area. Within 1 mile directly of the airport, there is 3,128 buildings, and then total within the 2 miles is 8,089 buildings. Now, what we do have here is for the request of Perkins Airfield and the surrounding areas. We know what's going on around there. Within 1 mile of the proposed airstrip, the airfield, there are a total of 0 developed parcels. Within that radius, no buildings. Within 2 miles, that gets up to 15 developed parcels, with 32 total buildings greater than 800 square feet. Within those developed parcels is the Sail Barn, which is the only developed parcel within town limits, the Garchin Buddhist Institute. Then there are 2 home sites in Haystack Ranch, and then 8 total home sites in the northeast portion, northeast of the airfield out in Yavapai County limits. Some refinements to the conditions of approval. This was since publishing the supplemental memo, just going through some more of the housekeeping stuff. Number 3, phase 1, in discussions with the applicant, that 5,000 foot airstrip, originally phase 1, there is potential that they can financially move forward with the 6,000 at that time. We want to make sure that that's open to them. Still can't happen in phase 2, but if financial means are available, be able to make that more economic for them, absolutely. And then also it includes that taxiway and apron with tie down that was omitted from the original condition. Number 12, construction for phase 2. Phase 2 specifically was left off. We want to make sure that's put in there. Phase 2, 3, or 4 shall commence within 10 years of completion of phase 1. And then the development agreement recommendations, just a couple of things. G, operations shall generally adhere to the following distribution. This is in relation to their operations table itself. Want to make sure that is, well, it's a generalization. It's not a hard number. Weather patterns, things like that happen. So while that is the intent that the breakdown of operations touch and goes will occur in those frequencies, still want to make sure it's just in a generality. And then the second one, the deletion of recommendation CC, that had to do with the additional police needed out there, or what lost the word. Anyway, through discussion with the chief of police, he's okay with leaving it in just as recommendation HH, which is his catch-all for the Chino PD involvement through this, which recommends coordination throughout. So tonight, recommendation, hold discussion with staff and the applicant team. Commission deliberation, motion on the rezone, motion on the conditional use permit. Go ahead, turn it over. Where do you want to start?
Okay, so we can ask questions now, am I correct? All right, does anybody on the commission have questions for town staff at this point? Yes, sir.
You changed it to 40 touch and goes per hour per day, or per hour, right?
For the upper limit, yes, sir.
Upper limit.
Correct.
So in other words, it's still average.
The 40 is an average?
I'm asking you, because originally it stated an average of 40 per hour, and then it was average per day, average per month.
It is still an average, correct? The cumulative average.
Can we get rid of the word of average?
Well, I guess that would be more of a question for Embry-Riddle, correct, sir?
Can I ask them then?
As soon as we're done with staff, I'll bring him up.
Gotcha.
Anybody else? So I got a couple things, as usual. So in the discussion that we had in both meetings, primarily in the study session, there was a thought moved forward that the Perkins Ranch would, upon the approval of the CUP and the conditional use permit, open negotiations with the town, and the negotiations should already be done, that if this passes, that the water rights that were granted to the Perkins Ranch when the town annexed them in, that those would be removed so that the town would be able to have that water. Is that included in this? I didn't see it anywhere.
It is not in there. So I know that has been discussed. If you would like a condition of that to be attached to the conditional use permit, we can. And if we would like to discuss that with Mr. Perkins as well, we can.
So with you, I would like it in there, and then when Mr. Perkins comes up, we'll get his talk on it. Okay? Second one is, in the fire station, there's been questions that have been bandied about what is attached to this fire station. And in our study session, it came up that the fire station would be the building and equipment. And then I'd like to have it a little bit more defined as apparatuses and trucks as part of the fire station itself. And then it was also discussed that the personnel that would man that fire station should not be borne by the airport alone, because they will be providing fire coverage for everybody that is around that area. And it would be pretty difficult for CAFMA to budget however many people they feel that thing needs to have in it in the future after the phase 2 development is started. And then also we'd like to see that the zoning commission would have the ability to review and comment on any and all development agreements that would come before the city council, not for any other reason than just an extra set of eyes to look at stuff. As we've seen through this discussion, the more eyes, the better, from all sides of it. And then there was also discussion about when the businesses are developed out there, that most of those businesses, the owners of those businesses that have expressed interest so far, most of them travel to their outside business locations away from their main plant by either plane or rotary wing aircraft. And there was some discussion about providing one flight a week per year, which would be up to a limit of 50 flights, for a business person to fly up and come and look at their business. And that's not 50 flights per each business, that's 50 flights total for the whole year for a business person to come up. In other words, they may have to make a schedule and work within the parameters of that. And then also there was discussion, and I didn't see this clarified in here, and if I missed it, you can correct me. But on the flight audits, we're going to use a certain type of technology that's available in almost all modern aircraft that it's the black box that we've heard so many stories about on commercial flights. This basically has most of the same capabilities. And that we would be able to use this for auditing the number of flights, what altitude, what direction, where they went, when they landed, when they took off. And I would like to see that for the first year that there would be a monthly printed audit delivered to the town staff And then there was also discussion about Emery Riddle's flight operations officer making a contact with the town once a month just to see if there are issues or anything that needs to be dealt with. And that needs to be applied for the whole life of the airstrip, that Emery Riddle uses it. And that after the first year, we could go to quarterly reports, because we will be talking to the flight ops guy once a month to get the tallies. And if there's any questions, somebody turns in a report that says this person was flying over my property at 25 feet above sea level at 3 o'clock in the morning, we can go back and find out if any of the Emery Riddle aircraft were involved in such a thing because of the technology. And it's my understanding that the technology is not able to be manipulated. Once it's downloaded, it's a record of the flight log.
Chair, if I could ask a clarifier, when you said presented to the town, is that,
The town staff and the town should probably provide a contact person to deal with that. The lucky individual is going to get to read the report, and he can maybe balance it out with any things that have been sent to the town as complaints.
sure,
I think that's a pretty fair way to keep everybody doing what they're supposed to be doing.
understood.
And that was all I had. So if we can get those things included, that would be a good step forward. Does anybody else have any questions for town staff at this point? We may bring you back up, Will.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now we have a couple of questions for the applicant and any of his representatives. So how would we like to handle that? Would you
Yes, sir.
take the lead on that? Please state your name when you get to the microphone.
Chairman Merritt, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Chairman Merritt, Vice Chair, Commissioners, thanks for the opportunity to speak to you. My name's Thomas Duncan Perkins. I'm the current president of Perkins Ranch Incorporated. Sitting at the table with me and behind me is our team. Would you like me to introduce them?
I only think it would be necessary if they have to speak about something.
I don't think so, sir. I'll try to answer most of your questions. If I can't, I'll rely on my team to get back to that.
Fair enough.
Okay.
So does anybody on the commission have any questions for the applicant?
I have one.
Pull your microphone down and so they can hear you.
Yes,
Is your mic
Commissioner.
on?
Trying to follow the maps that we've been given over time, I was under the impression there's been a slight tweaking to the airstrip itself to mitigate the noise in the area. Does this current map reflect that?
Yes, sir, it does reflect that. Mark, do you want to come up? This is the architect of the airfield. He did move the directional landing of the airfield to try to help out with noise mitigation. Mark?
Whoever phone is beeping, could you please turn that bloody thing off?
Chairman, my name is Mark Paslick. I'm with Goodwin Mills and Kaywood. And when we started this process, we identified several different alignments. The old alignment was one of those. We talked to the tower also at regional, and we came up with this alignment. This allows us to avoid a lot of things that were being identified in the past going over Chino Valley itself. But it was to avoid noise and it also gives a better alignment for wind analysis.
Would you mind stepping up there and just showing exactly how we see two yellow spots there where they're coming in and leaving, but how do they get from there from the airport?
The approach thing is probably on the.
I'll explain that. You can sit down again, Mark. I got it, thank you. Can I speak
Yes,
away
sir.
from the mic? Okay, so you see the big blue circle, that's Class D airspace of Prescott. So in that airspace, they are strictly controlled by the Prescott Tower when it's open, Class D. When it's closed, it switches to Class E, which is a weather separation of VFR and IFR aircraft. Try to keep this as simple as possible. So all this airspace outside of the Class D is called Class G airspace, and Class G is uncontrolled. Although Prescott entering and exiting their Class D, they have control of that. We don't own the airspace, Chino Valley doesn't own the airspace, Arizona State doesn't own the airspace, the federal administration owns that airspace, so they'll move aircraft for safety in and out of their patterns. What they'll do is if they take off 2-1 basically and come out, what they're asking them to do is come here, and these corridors, one of the council members asked to keep away from M.A. Perkins, so they want the aircraft to go down Granite Creek across the hills to try to mitigate some of that noise signature. So as they come in, they'll enter here, depending on the landing direction, most time it's 2-1 because the winds are blowing out of the southwest. So it's like this, so the planes are landing this direction. They'll either enter, this is called the right circuit, the other side is the left circuit. So depending on what the pilots do coming in there, they'll be left or right circuit. No more than 4 aircraft can be in that circuit at any time. I've heard people say there'll be 20 aircraft out there. That's incorrect. And where the 40 touch and goes per hour maximum comes from is each aircraft can do approximately 1 touch and go every 6 minutes. So in an hour, 1 aircraft can do 10. So if you have 4 of them in the circuit, then you can get 40 per hour, average. To your point, sir, it could be a little lower, it could be a little higher depending on spacing, but that's the average. So when they're coming back in and departing this, if Prescott Tower allows them to, they can come right back in for a straight in to Prescott's 2-1 landing this direction. That's what the blue corridor is, leaving here, joining right back in. Again, trying to mitigate sound and complaints from people that are in Yavapai County unincorporated. Does that answer your question, sir?
It does.
Just for more clarification while you're up there, the dark blue line that comes from the proposed flight area to the Prescott Airport, that's also a flyway for commercial traffic, is it not?
Yes, that's the final corridor coming down here. This is what we call the extended final for landing the Prescott Airport.
Which is
Prescott's this blue one here.
And that's in daily use at
All
the
the
current
time.
moment.
Yes, sir, all the time.
And the blue line that goes to the north
Yes, sir.
along Granite Creek where the entrance of the yellow area is, what is that?
That's their proposal of exiting, coming out of the Class D airspace going to the north and trying to stay away from our built-up area, which is right down Highway 89.
Okay, and maybe if you don't feel comfortable answering this, maybe Will can, but that's basically empty land right there.
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, so it sounds like you guys have
We're doing our
kept
best.
it as out of occupied ground space as possible.
And also, a lot of people that are not pilots.
Could you
think
step
in-
up to the microphone now?
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
A lot of people that are not aviators think two-dimensionally. Aviators have to think three-dimensionally. So there's also height limits on that. So what they'll try to do all the time when they're flying anywhere near populated areas, be at least 1,000 feet AGL above ground level or higher. I heard some people say that the aircraft could be booming around at 500 feet. They do not do that. There is FARs that require, if you're in over any built-up area, you have to be at least 1,000 foot AGL and 2,000 feet horizontal away from them. So if they're going over, if pilots fly friendly, they'll fly at higher altitudes to mitigate that noise.
So there's 1,000 foot space that they can operate in.
By the rules, that 1,000 foot
Vertical.
puts them vertically.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so back to my pet sticking point is
Yes,
the
sir.
water rights. Would you, as the president of the Perkins Ranch, agree to turn the water rights back to the town that they gave to your family when they are annexed in,
Sir, what I'll agree to is a partnership with the town to negotiate what you need. What I want to do is get you back to being a water provider, to protect our aquifer. I don't want to give up all our water rights.
Okay, so you corrected me. I didn't intend for you to give up your water rights as a rancher. It was the water rights that the town gave you when they got annexed.
Yes, sir, and those water rights are tied to the land that we have. They were given to us in the pre-annexation agreement, but we really can't use them unless Chino Valley is a water provider. So it doesn't do us any good, and it doesn't do you any good for us to continue to hold them. But this project and everything I'm doing right now, the family is doing, is to build a partnership with the town of Chino Valley, to change the paradigm of Chino Valley for a good arc into our bright future. We don't have any industry. We don't control our water. Everyone takes our water. But I think working together, we can fix some of those things. Separate and apart, we fix none of it.
So when you say people are taking our water, you're specifically saying outside entities that have wells inside the town limits
100%, sir.
that send water
Since
in
I was a
basic
kid.
direction of south.
Yes, sir. Big wells that pump our water out of the aquifer, and where we used to drill our wells on the ranch at less than 100 feet, now to hit water, we're going to 300 feet. And they continue to take our water, and I don't think that's right either. And I want to work with the town to make sure that doesn't happen anymore.
That's a good goal. All right, anybody else have any questions for the applicant while
I
he's up
have, I
there?
have a question.
Yes, sir.
I have a neighbor that flies remote control planes, and I don't know how far away. I think it's probably 2 or 3 miles away from the airstrip. He is just sure that you guys are just going to shut him down.
Absolutely not. I've heard this argument. My brother-in-law, Roger, works for the town of Chino. He's gone over to talk to the RC flyers. They're not anywhere close to the planes. When the planes are in the circuit, even if you're 2-1 in your right circuit, then what will happen is they're at almost 1,000 feet AGL when they're coming around the pattern to come back around. They're not low. They're not anywhere close to those model airplanes.
Cool, thanks.
Yes, sir.
There was also some comments that I was made aware of about the shooting range. Could you comment on that? The one that's by the police station, the police.
The police station, my sister and my brother-in-law, Mark, who passed away, he was a local firefighting captain with the town of Chino Valley for many years, retired, started a business that's Perkinsville Meat Processing. It was sold about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, by my nephew and his wife. But when they were going to put it in, my sister Cindy, they asked if the noise would bother her, and she said, absolutely not. Is this what you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely not. They loved hearing the shooting. We don't have any problems. My mom's house is fairly close, so sitting out on the porch in the morning, watching over the land, I hear the shooting down there. I enjoy it. No PTSD. It doesn't bother me at all.
So in focusing on the air traffic, that shooting isn't impacting what you guys are proposing to do? in
No,
any
sir, not
fashion
at
or
all.
form? No danger, no...
No, sir, not at those altitudes. And I think even the turn on the pattern is well away from where they're shooting.
Okay, thank you. All right, anybody else have questions?
Yes.
Yes, sir. I like your
That
hat,
dark-
by the way.
Pardon?
I like your hat.
The dark blue,
Yes, sir.
that's an existing corridor.
You talking about this?
Yep. Arrival and
Absolutely, sir.
departure.
This is the extended final for the runway. There's 2 runways at least at Prescott Airport, and that's where the planes are coming in for final landing. Bigger aircraft like their commercial aircraft that are going to their terminal, all those they'll have separated by speed, but the aircraft are on their final descent to land on those runways.
So,
When it's opposite direction, if the winds are opposite direction, this long blue line would be down here. They'd be coming up this way.
so you'll be adding to the congestion on those corridors.
I don't think we'd be adding to them. The aircraft come out of Prescott, and then when they're finished with their training at our airfield, then they'd have to be spaced to come back in and land. So I don't think adding would be the right word. I'm just, they're rerouting to another location until they're ready to return home.
Semantics.
Okay, sir.
40, you don't mind getting rid of the word average?
No, I agree with average. I went over the numbers with Chairman Merritt. So would you like me to go back over those, sir?
If you would,
I would like to have the word average taken out.
why don't we let Mr. Perkins just kind of go through it again? It was very edifying for me because some of the terminology is confusing.
Okay. Chairman, if it's okay with you, I'll start out with a couple of definitions. Then I'll talk about the numbers in basic math so everybody understands. And then I'll talk about the accountability that you brought up previously with the technology.
And then
Is that okay,
we can
Commissioner?
discuss that word average after you do that.
Absolutely. So, first the terms. People talk about flights. What is a flight? So a flight is the aircraft leaving from its originating airport, in this case it's KPRC, which is Prescott, going out, doing its training, and then returning back to that airfield shutdown post-flight debrief. So clear on a flight. Okay. An operation is a particular maneuver during that flight. The military calls them maneuvers. They have task condition standard. It's the same thing. So a landing is a maneuver. A takeoff is a maneuver. So a touch and go is 2 maneuvers. So now I get into the actual numbers, now that we've got the definitions down. So this airfield is designed for 90,000 operations, maneuvers per year, correct, Mark?
That's correct.
Okay. What we're asking for is 80,000 maneuvers per year, operations per year. And that sounds like a scary number, but I'm going to explain why it's not. A touch and go is 2, so a touch and go, as Will talked about earlier, that cuts that number in half to 40,000 per year. If you divide that by 365, that comes out to 109 and some change. So let's just make it even numbers, it's 110. That's why you have that other number. So 110 a day still sounds like quite a bit until you go into what a lot of people saw the demonstration that was out there. That was 4 planes. They flew for about 30 to 45 minutes in the circuit. So in the circuit, if you have 4 planes there, in 1 hour, you'll have approximately 40 touch and go landings, 10 from each plane. So in 3 hours, almost all of your numbers for the day, well, they're actually over the number. So when we talk averages for accountability, this is what I want to explain. All the aircraft have ADS-B. That's how they know the numbers of where the airplanes have been, how many hours they've flown, did the plane violate any rules. All the information is in the database. So when the plane comes back, it's downloaded into the mainframe, and you can query that mainframe, and Dr. Witcher will delegate responsibility to his flight section to coordinate with staff monthly per the chairman's request, not only to find out if there's anything we can tweak or mitigate noise, but also to give you the numbers for accountability. For the first year, that'll happen every month. In years after that, it'll be quarterly, but you'll still get staff calling in monthly to see if there's any issues, anything we can fix that may be wrong. So what happens is we're asking for a 1-year average of 80,000 operations on a 3-year average. So let's say this year they only got 70. You brought up the point, would you make it up in the next year? Yes, they could. You would average 3 years of operations, and that would be a rolling average, meaning it slides to the right on the calendar. And for accountability, you would check to make sure they're following the CUP and what you've allowed us to do. Additionally, the aircraft that come in, I was talking to the chairman about bringing in business from 2, 3, and 4. Those rich people usually don't fly up in a Cessna. They've got corporate helicopters, corporate plane that can land on certain length runways, and I would coordinate with staff, with you all, with the council to meet those people and show them our vision, show them what we want to build. That's how you partner and how you build something that we're all proud of and gives a bright future, not only to the Perkins family, but to the town of Chino Valley. Did I explain everything correctly?
Yes, except I understood almost all of it, and I still go back, you can make it up. So in
Yes,
other
sir.
words, if you're down for 2 days because of weather, those next 5 days, you could make them up.
Yes, sir. You
So
could.
there would be more planes in the air during that time.
There would be, Commissioner. There would. That pays the bill for the infrastructure that you're building. If you don't allow them to make up that time, then your students don't get back into their training, and basically you've shut them off from doing what they need to do. Aircraft are the lifeblood of an airfield. So if you're authorizing an airfield, you have to understand that aircraft need to come to that airfield. One of the council members, we talked about a gas station without cars. So if you build a Buc-ee's along 89, but you limit how many cars go to Buc-ee's, Buc-ee's is going to fail. Same thing with an airfield, that if you're limiting everything that happens there, nobody's going to want to come.
That's why removing the word average is not going to make things successful. And yes, there will be days when there'll be more, but there is also the opportunity for days that they will be less. And
Yes,
if
sir.
you have bad weather, then you don't have any.
And you don't have any aircraft at that time. When-
So it's averages out over the year to be no more than what you agreed to do.
Yes, sir. 100%, that is correct.
Okay, did that answer the question?
Yes, it did.
Any other questions, please? Yes, ma'am.
There's been concern about lead from the exhaust contaminating the soil and stuff. At the study session, wasn't it mentioned that the new fuel coming in is unleaded?
Commissioner, ma'am, can I let one of my experts
Yes.
speak to that? I'm not an expert on fuel.
FAA has a program called the Eagle Program that's supposed to be implemented by 2030 to get lead out of fuel. And once that gets instituted, they'll abide by FAA's regulations and they'll use that type of fuel. But that's the FAA is making that transition, and it's called the Eagle Program. It's supposed to take into effect by 2030.
So basically, it's going to take you a year to build this, so it'll be like 4 years that you'll have leaded fuel.
Yes, ma'am. If they meet that schedule, it'll be at that time. But they would
could-
abide by that.
But they could move it up earlier if they
They
wanted
could.
to.
They just have 2030. It just depends on them and how fast they can. The biggest problem is distribution of it, getting it distributed among the fuel vendors. But they've got many different types of fuel that they're looking at right now and doing research on. But right now it's projected for 2030 to be completely out of lead. But that's their program. The
And
FAA's
that'll be
program.
everything coming out of Prescott.
Supposedly, yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right.
Mr. Chairman?
So just for clarification, all airplanes that are flying now, no matter where they're flying, or except for maybe jet fuel, are all burning leaded fuel.
I think that's the case.
Yep. So,
Any recip engines burn 100 LL, but only the turbine engines burn Jet A and other fuel types like that. But all general aviation, you see GA, That's general aviation, that's people that own private aircraft. You also have CA, that's commercial aviation, that's your aircraft that are carrying passengers. And then you have BA, business aviation. And of course, those are, as you said, rotary wing, prop aircraft and jets that take around businessmen.
So,
VIP.
one of the things that I neglected to throw in my thoughts earlier was about there, in our discussion in the study session, it became apparent that the rotary wing aircraft, especially from some descriptions that Mr. Perkins gave us, that they can be, if they're the proper type of aircraft, quite quiet, maybe even quieter than the 172s. And I'm not going to make that statement because I'm not an aviator, but we had talked about including some verbiage in there that says meets the same flight profile and noise profile as the two planes that are proposed for the conditional use permit, and I forgot to throw that in there earlier, and that didn't seem to be a problem with anybody.
It really isn't, but the nice thing about helicopters is they don't have to do this circuit stuff. So if a helicopter comes in with a businessman, they can take the aircraft and move around any built-up areas. They basically shift to where their noise and the sound from the aircraft, they go right to their point, land, shut down. Refuel, if there's refuel capability in phase one, obviously there is not. But if they come to meet with town staff and want to give a business proposal for a site on the Platte in phase 3 and 4, you'd probably want them to come in. They'd shut down immediately. Guy gets out. Dennis Banks is back here. Dennis is a retired CW5 that I flew in Afghanistan with. He is going to be my airfield manager. God willing, this thing gets approved. And Dennis would coordinate with them to mitigate the sound and any risk to any neighbors as much as possible. So that's the point, sir, is a lot of times people equate rotary wing with Chinooks, which are big, loud helicopters, or Jolly Green Giants, which are big, loud military helicopters. Your corporate aircraft, Dennis is qualified in the MD 902 and flew VIP for many years. And they would try their best to keep the noise and everything away from people. I've heard people say, oh, you can hear them coming from miles around, but usually what they're hearing are big military aircraft, which are loud because the military doesn't care.
Yeah, I have, for the last 3 months now, I've had a helicopter fly over our house between Prescott and Flagstaff. That's like some kind of corporate helicopter, and he flies right over the house every day like a clock.
Yes, sir.
So they're they're out there. So this, going back to this leaded fuel thing, there's aircraft flying all over our community on a daily basis, private aircraft, not even necessarily Embry-Riddle aircraft, that are burning leaded aircraft fuel, which has been so since fuel
Yes,
was
sir.
created.
Clear back when we used to put leaded fuel in our
In our
vehicles,
cars.
and there wasn't anything as such as.
Right. All right. Anybody else got questions? Thank you, sir. You've been very informative. I may call you back up if we get in our discussion where we need an answer on something.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You bet. So now we can have some discussion and deliberation before we go for a motion. Is there any questions or any confusion that the commission has needs to be clarified or explained or anything like that?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
We're going to vote two things at once?
There'll be two things that get voted on tonight, one motion at a time.
Okay.
I have one further question.
I'm sorry?
I have one further question for Tom. If the CUP passes to remove the R2, but the CUP does not, that prevents them from, building out there, right? For subdivisions.
So the zoning comes first, if you guys correct me if I'm wrong. The zoning comes first, that's one motion and a vote. Because the conditional use permit cannot happen without that zoning being in place.
Correct, but if the changes the zoning, it removes 2 houses per acre, for house per 2 acres. So it could not, well, these people are saying, you know, if he doesn't get it, he's going to build subdivisions. He can't.
I'm sorry.
Can I address that?
Sure, step up to the mic, please.
Commissioner, can you ask your question in? You're asking if we're going to build houses out there, the ranch?
Well, I'm saying if we change it to 36 instead of 2,
Yes.
it prevents any future development unless you come back and request the zoning change again.
What,
You talking about the rest of our land?
yeah, hold on a second, I think we're getting confused here.
Just a point of clarification, the zoning change request is for 390 acres. It's
Right.
not for the entire,
Correct.
okay.
But
So-
as it
so-
stands now, he could build on that 300 acres on 2-acre
I believe
lots.
Mr. Perkins has over 4,000 acres.
Yeah.
One-
But I'm saying is
And
if
right
we
now, all of
change,
it is residential too. What he's asking for is a zoning change for 390 acres, which is less than 9% of the land. The rest of it's going to be open vistas. At least that's what I'm understanding.
But I believe we're talking about just the 390 acres.
We're only talking
She is
about-
asking, if you don't pass it, then Mr. Perkins could, on that land, as some people have threatened, well, he'll just build, 180 homes on the 2 acres.
So
And I
let
believe
me-
Mr. Perkins has
I'm
said he
gonna-
doesn't want to do that.
I'm gonna ask town staff to just answer one question. At this point in time, the Perkins Ranch land is all zoned 2-acre minimum, which means 1 dwelling for every 2 acres that is on that property.
Correct.
So do some math and divide, we'll pick 4,000, but I think it's more that he owns.
It is.
Take 4,000 acres and divide it by 2, and then you can tell how many houses could be built all over his property. He's already got that right. This isn't adding anything as far as houses being built out there. If he wanted to sell his ranch tomorrow, they could build thousands of houses out there.
Correct. And
that wasn't my question. I'm saying, that wasn't my question.
That's what I thought.
No, because it already is, he can build on 2 acres.
It's already in
But if
place.
we pass
by
the
right.
zoning change to 36, but don't pass the CUP, it further restricts that that's got to be 1 house per 36 acres.
Ma'am, I don't plan on building any houses during my lifetime, and I don't think any of my family members, my son and my nephew will take over the ranch. I'm 4th generation, they're 5th, and we'll keep it open ranch land if you don't approve it. We'll cowboy up and continue on, but we will not build houses out there.
But if it goes to 36, then there's an option, if the CUP doesn't go through, that you could do any other things that's allowed on the 36.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any more discussion?
May I sit down, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. Thank you for answering. Okay, so I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve zoning change ZC 2025-03 as presented, subject to staff report and information provided during this hearing.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. So, we'll call for the vote. It will be a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Stotts,
Yes.
Commissioner Morbido,
Yes.
Commissioner Ditta,
No.
Commissioner Zamudio,
No.
Commissioner Metters,
Yes.
Vice Chair Pasiak,
Yes.
Chair Merritt.
Yes. I believe the motion is approved. Okay, so now, I'm not going to ask for votes to be explained for this at this point. We're going to carry on forward. I would entertain a motion for CUP 2025-05.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve conditional use permit CUP 2025-05 as presented, subject to staff report and information provided during the hearing and the conditions of approval in attachment 1, conditional use permit.
We have a
second
motion. We have a motion and a second. So before we vote, I'm going to just make a short statement. I've been on this commission for a fair amount of time. I've seen all kinds of stuff come before us over the years. Anything of any significant importance always has a group of people that don't want it. It doesn't matter what it is, where it's at, what side of town it's on. People don't want to have change, which I get that. I'm not a big change person myself. But this is an opportunity for the town, which has very minimal revenue, most of it collected from Safeway and the lumberyard and Chino Rentals in the form of sales tax, to support itself. At this point, it's my understanding that the town is pretty well at the max of their budget, so if we go to push forward for a cost of living increase for the help next year, there may not be money to support that. This town needs to have an outside source besides what the limited resources are now. And this airfield, if you look at that map right there on that screen, you could not pick a more remote location in the city limits of the town of Chino Valley. It's our job as the commission, Planning and Zoning Commission of the town of Chino Valley, to look out for the best interests for the town and the community. This has an opportunity to do that. And it's not being done by thousands of acres of homes, which is how people got to live close to the area that this proposed airport is at. That land was all ranch land, and it was sold off because ranchers could not make a viable living, and the only asset that they had was their property. So anybody that's moved out to Coyote Springs or any other part of this town, including where I live, was a dairy farm or ranch or a farm of some sort. That's all that was here. This has an opportunity to keep thousands of acres of land open so that people can still enjoy their views. Of all people, even the people who are complaining that they're so adversely affected. This is a golden opportunity for this town.
If I may add, is too, that's a personal perspective, and I don't believe in that. What
Point
you
of
say.
order.
I believe in part of it, yes, but there is more to it than what you say. So it's like you're talking down about making someone's decision that it's not valid, but it is valid. I feel that it's not in the best interest. Money's not everything to me, but for the town of Chino, I look at it as a whole. I've been here 32 years, not quite 100, but there's a lot more to it. And so by you saying that statement, I don't think it's correct. That's your personal opinion. Okay, that's all right. But it seems like you're putting down the people that don't want this because they have a different perspective. They think it's different. And that's okay. We can be different. So I just don't think that was the right statement to kind of criticize on.
Well, I'm not criticizing, I'm making a statement and an opinion, and you did the same thing, so we've heard from opposite ends of the spectrum, which I appreciate and respect what you said. So now I'm going to call for the vote. It will be a roll call vote.
Commissioner Stotts,
Yes.
Commissioner Morbido,
Yes.
Commissioner Ditta,
No.
Commissioner Zamudio,
No.
Commissioner Metters,
Yes.
Vice Chair Pasiak,
Yes.
Chair Merritt.
Yes. The motion is carried. So if anybody chooses to, they can explain their vote. And you go down the line, starting with Commissioner Metters, and if she chooses not to speak, she does not have to.
No comment.
My comment is based on what I said pretty much. I feel that you should do what you want with your land, I agree, wholeheartedly. But when you encroach on someone else's, to me, there's a limit. That's the line where I draw it right there. And I can't consciously agree to something where I don't know where so-called this new business is going to come from. Yes, people have interest, but I can't hang my head on interest. I need to have commitment. And since there's no commitment of anybody, I can't approve it. I don't see it there. So those are my things of what I see.
Commissioner Dida?
Mine was, I don't believe that it does go with the vision statement. You pointed out that's what you believe in, and I don't believe that. I also believe that the town is the town. All these people out there, they seem to have an opinion, and I should listen to it. Money doesn't talk, people talk. If they all wanna not eat, well, so be it. That's who I represent in this commission for the betterment of the town, and those people are the town. So I voted no. And I do like Emeryville. I think they're a very good town. And Tom, I respect you. You are very charismatic and a great speaker. I'll give you that.
Thank you, sir.
But just have to go with my own heart.
Hope to pull your support, but obviously I did not.
That's it.
New commissioner.
I believe that the benefit to the town is going to come in the long term with hopefully jobs that will be to the town, and so our children don't have to leave town to go to work.
Well, I have grandchildren and great-grandchildren that I would love to see them come hang out with Grandpa. And this is an opportunity for educated kids, which I hate to brag, but my grandkids are awesome. But they're not going to come to work at Safeway, and they're not going to work at the car wash, and they're not going to work at Burger King. This is an opportunity. We don't know what's going to come. We really don't know the future. We got to take what they say and what they've done as a good starting point. And if it comes out, which it will, this will turn out to be a great thing for the town. And it's going to be a great thing for your kids and grandkids. And it's just going to be good, everything that happens. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen, the newest thing that I see is over a 10-year period. And that will start probably the phase 4. We've got to grow. And it's not growing on Highway 89 where there's a lot next to Skillet for sale. This is out in the middle of nowhere. And if the growth comes back towards the town, I don't know who could be more excited about that than anybody that plans. And we are in the future planning and zoning. It just makes absolute perfect sense to what's going on. Thank you.
Vice Chair?
Well, you could not have said it better, or I couldn't have said it better, but I have to, as Chair Merrick said, at one time, this was farmland, and everyone living here right now, at one time, where you're living, used to be farm. This project is phased. It has 4 phases. You have to start with 1. People that are going to come in phase 3, they need to say something on the ground before they commit, because they're going to commit a lot of money and a lot of effort. I did a little Google search this week, and people are always saying they want it rural. Well, rural was in the year 1900 when the first Mr. Perkins got here. It took him 2 years. Chino Valley had 13,800 and some odd people. Well, that's less than the population.
Not 1900. You started on the wrong date.
1900, Yavapai County
Yavapai County, correct.
had 13,800. Right now, the town of Chino Valley has more than that. So, again, as the staff said, rural is a subjective term. And I think this is a minimal amount of acreage that is going to be developed versus what Mr. Perkins has in total. It's less than 9% of what he owns, and it's going to be leased. So if it gets to the point where he doesn't like it, he's not going to renew the lease.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Can I make one more quick comment?
Yes.
Everybody in the room, why don't we get behind the bypass? Let's go. If we can get the town to do something and we can get growth to come, we will have a way to get people in and out of the town without using Highway 89. And that will help our growth.
Point of order.
That's just a comment, so we're a little off subject.
That was,
Point of order.
too many.
agenda.
no, it's down here at the bottom where it says,
All right, so
your comment.
this motion is carried. I want to make one more simple statement. Everybody that has been to all of these meetings, and believe me, they've been a real test of endurance, patience, and civility, that's a word. And everybody that has participated in all the meetings has done an exemplary job of acting like grown-ups, American citizens, and just straight up well-behaved people. And on this commission, we have been on the wrong end of some of those deals, and I want to say thank you very much for maintaining decorum. Thank you. So we're going to take a short break before we move to the other items. Okay, so the recess is over for our February 3rd, 2026 meeting, regular meeting of the Town of Chino Valley Planning and Zoning Commission. We're going to move forward to item E. We have a conditional use permit 2025-06. It's a request by Science Plus on behalf of Sheets Investment LLC for the approval of a conditional use permit to allow for construction of a freestanding electronic message center sign for Ace Hardware located at 1395 State Route 89, Chino Valley. Anybody on the commission spoken to anybody outside this meeting? Okay. Staff.
Good evening, Chair.
Hi.
Thank you.
Hi, Ms. Berrigan. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you doing?
Good.
Thank you. Mr. Vice Chair and fellow members of the Commission. Jessica Berrigan, your Development Services Senior Planner. Before you again is for consideration is the CUP brought to you as CUP 2025-06. Again, this request is from Science Plus on behalf of Sheets Investments LLC. The request is for a freestanding electronic message center sign, or EMC for short, at the existing Ace Hardware store located at 1395 South State Route 89. The signage code, section 4.21.5C, in the town's UDO requires that there is a conditional use permit approved for the installation of an EMC sign, which is why we're bringing it forward today for you. Staff observes that the applicant did complete all the applicable review and approval procedures set forth in section 1.9.3 of the town's UDO. And the scope does include removal of the existing monument sign that you see on the left corner of the screen. It is located on the south side of the primary entrance. The screen in front of you shows the subject property is currently zoned CH, or commercial heavy. Adjacent uses are primarily commercially zoned, commercial heavy and commercial light, with the eastern side facing the open space tract of the Parkside Village subdivision. The proposal indicates that the freestanding sign is approximately 13 feet in height, with an 8-foot minimum clearance from the ground level to the bottom of the panel, and this does conform to our signage code in section 4.21.5. Additionally, the applicant has committed to dark sky efforts. A neighborhood meeting was held. Properties within 500-foot radius were notified. The neighborhood meeting was held on January 5th, 2026. No neighbors were in attendance. No concerns or any phone calls or written notices were received by staff. ADOT did provide a generic comment regarding EMC signage along SR 89. And with that, conditional use permit does conform to all the applicable codes in the UDO. So with that, staff does recommend that Planning and Zoning Commission forward to the Town Council a recommendation to approve conditional use permit CUP 2025-06 as presented and subject to conditions of approval in Attachment A. On your screen is a copy of Attachment A. You can read that in your packet. And I'm available for any questions. The applicant is here. They don't have anything further to add and they don't wish to speak. Thank you.
Okay, so do we have any questions for town staff? And the applicant has declined to speak, which you don't have to do. All right. So I'm asking for public comments on this item of the agenda. Would anybody from the public like to step up and speak? Seeing no participation, we'll pass that. We're going to close the public hearing portion, and I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve conditional use permit CUP 2025-06 as presented, subject to staff report and information provided during this hearing and the conditions of approval in Attachment A.
I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? So this will just be a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. So we're going to move forward to item TA 2025-09, a request to amend the Town of Chino Valley Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 154, Chapter 5, subdivision to allow the administrative approval of subdivision plats. Has anybody on the commission spoken to anybody about this item outside of this meeting?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I've talked to staff about it,
You did.
yes.
Sorry, we're getting there in the staff report.
My microphone is not working at my chair, so I'm here at the podium.
That's all right. You're tall enough to get above the monitor.
Good evening, Chair and Commission. This is a text amendment that is brought to you by the state legislature. They decided that in their infinite wisdom, towns and cities and counties are not moving subdivisions fast enough and they want more housing built quicker. And so they decided to take away the ability for towns, cities, and counties to process subdivisions, preliminary and final plats through Planning Commission and Council for review. They have instead decided that staff gets to have that burden on ourselves. So you will not see any more subdivisions coming through, preliminary or final. Staff will be doing that. Because we have a schedule already set up that you guys have seen, it's in your Planning Commission handbook of our dates of when we accept applications, the deadlines, and all the processes that we do. We will continue to do all of those processes because that's how you vet a project and make sure that you've got it conditioned properly and that there aren't any issues that any outside agencies have, like ADOT, or maybe there's some water issues. So we'll still do all of that stuff. It's just that when we get to the end of our process, it doesn't come to you, it comes to me as the zoning administrator. Now, if an applicant doesn't like either the conditions that we approved or the decision made, the appeals will come to you. Not to the council, but to you.
So town council is left out of this as well?
Well, there's only one appeal body.
No, I mean,
Yes, they're up.
Yes,
so they don't even get to approve it.
nothing.
Wow.
So, I think that's about all I have to say about this. We thank you, state legislature. We appreciate the extra burden, and we're open for questions.
I have one.
Yes.
And I discussed this briefly with Will. This is on section, in the ordinance, it's 2.7, where it amends section 5.2.4B5. And it has completion date for the construction of the improvements, and they strike out council and say the zoning administrator. If you look at that section, the second line from the bottom, where they're discussing, it says, if the subdivider fails to complete the improvements by the completion date, this says the council may, and I think that should be stricken out and put in the zoning administrator to be consistent.
You are correct.
And fortunately, it says may in its sole discretion draw on the assurance described hereafter to complete the improvements.
Actually, staff doesn't get the ability to pull on assurances. Only the council can do that. So you had me going, and then it's like, no.
Okay. All right, that explains it then.
So they do have a role, but it's only if they haven't completed their improvements that they need to, then the council has the authority to pull their bonds
Yeah.
and cash them in to have the
And before
improvements
council
completed.
does that, I think someone should discuss just how much work that is. Because I've gone through the 2007, 2008 crash of the buildings down in Maricopa County. And I have only pulled one bond in my 40-plus years and that was in Kansas. So that was 40 years ago, plus 40, almost 45 years ago.
We have the ability, we don't, I am trying to think, I think once in my 44 years, we've pulled a bond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Thank you.
So, when we used to have subdivision changes and stuff, we used to put a limit that if they didn't start with a certain time, that it would revert back to whatever the zoning was prior. So this says it has to be, each phase has to be done within 3 years.
Those numbers shouldn't have changed at all. The
Okay,
only thing that should have changed is who's got the authority to review and approve.
okay.
So all that is currently in the subdivision code, unless it's got to cross through with a different number.
can we make sure that the time limits are consistent with what we've been doing?
Yes.
Okay, that would be good.
Yeah,
Would that be helpful?
yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't like when we pass something and then it sits there for a year and a half and then the for sale sign goes up on it.
Anybody else have questions for staff?
I'm going to show my ignorance. If the state already passed something, are we just going to verify what they did?
We have to change our code to reflect what they have changed in state law.
So we vote against it, doesn't make any difference, we vote for it?
Doesn't make any difference, we have to do it. This just gives me the language.
So this is just a clarification
Yeah.
vote?
Well, it's us admitting that they stole our authority. How's
There
that?
you go.
It's strictly administrative.
Yep, okay. Thank you.
Do you know what a rubber stamp is?
I see her right there. Not her, just the gov.
Any other questions? All right, so is there anybody in the public would like to speak on this item? And we're gonna close the public portion of the meeting on this item only. So, I would call for a motion.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, I move to approve text amendment 2025-09 as presented, subject to staff report and information provided during this hearing.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. This will be a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Okay, so we're gonna go forward to information items. One, staff, we have a new alternate, Mr. Mark Sherman. If staff would like to introduce him, or,
Oh, that's who he is.
He's already got his briefing by staff. I think he's going to be a great alternate for us, so if any of you need a break, he will be here at every meeting just like you were, just like you were. So he's ready to fill in.
even after tonight, you're still sticking in here.
No, it
Welcome
should have been
aboard.
January 6th that he
Welcome
would have been
aboard.
scared
Thank you.
away.
Thank you.
We're grateful for your service. Okay, this is the part of the meeting where anybody on the commission can talk about anything that they choose to speak about. Would anybody like to have a say about
I
anything?
do. Can we do a text amendment to take signs away from CUPs?
Since my microphone is on. We will make sure that that's in the new code, the new zoning code amendment, because it doesn't make sense.
I mean, it's like this much in the UDO on signage, so why do we have to vote on it?
Well, and if it meets it, it comes forward to you. If it does, if they don't meet it, you guys don't even see it.
Yeah.
So
It's just nice to have a smooth one once.
that's true. That's true.
I think that's a great idea. It cuts down on just double doing a bunch of stuff. Anybody else?
Is this
That was a
part of
good
the
one,
meeting
Mr.
where I can bring
Commissioner
up my
Meadows.
pass?
You already did that.
Never mind.
Okay, so I'm gonna hold them, we'll carry through, but we are not gonna go to the motion to adjourn part. We're gonna do our
Can we have the
diligence on the
agenda
first
back up?
item. So the chairman's not gonna speak. I already had my say today. Public, anybody here wanna talk? Okay, so we're gonna go back to the start of the meeting and go over the consent calendar. I believe that we should pull
Stood on the paper.
the planning and zoning officer election out of the consent calendar and then have a separate item for that alone. Does anybody have any problem with that? Okay, so I would like a motion to do the consent calendar minus the elections.
I make a motion to approve the consent calendar minus the election of officers.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, so that's done. All right, so now we're gonna move forward to electing the zoning officers. So now I'm gonna turn the meeting over to the vice chair because that's not my job at this point.
So, Mr. Chairman, if you'd let me explain, because we have 2 new commissioners. Every year we have elections. We elect the chair and the vice chair. So this isn't anything weird. We have to wait until we get new commissioners, which we just did. Their tenure is effective February 1st. February 1st? Are we in February yet?
Yeah.
We're in February.
Okay. Sorry, the airfield's taken a lot of toll on us. So they're effective February 1st, which is why we do the elections in February.
Okay, so did everybody kind of get that? All right.
Okay. Floor is open for nominations of chair for the Planning and Zoning Commission. Do I have any nominations?
I nominate Mr. Merritt.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And
That was
your
almost as
salary is
fast
now
as-
doubled.
That was almost as fast as that.
2 times 0 is still 0.
I appreciate the fact that you guys have that much faith in me. I've been at this a while and I try to do the best job I can, and I must be doing all right or you'd vote me out. Thank you very much. So now I'll step back into the leadership role of the meeting for a minute and ask if anybody has any nominations for the vice chair.
I nominate Vice President Gary Piziak for a continuation.
I have a nomination. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have multiple seconds. Him first and him second. All right. So we have a nomination with a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? All right. Thank you again, and I'm grateful that we're all staying pretty much stable for the time being.
Chair, if I
And
may.
the new members, welcome. It's normally a little less stressful. Mr. Stotts, thank you for sitting in tonight on your first night. Nice baptism of fire. I appreciate you being here. Thank you. And thank you for your volunteering to do that as well, Mr. Sherman, as our alternate. Okay, so you have something, Will?
I do. I have staff information items. We missed it last time. I don't want to miss it again because the list keeps getting longer for past actions.
Okay,
Yes. So,
hold on a second.
Yes.
For the people that are new, this is stuff that we've sent down the pipe to the town council, and now we get to see how good we did.
yes. So on December
Really like doing
9th,
that.
on December 9th, there was CUP 2025-04, which was Southwest Contractors Yard. It was approved by Town Council. Zone Change 2025-02, the Old Home Manor rezone, where we essentially killed off the business park, reverted that back to public land, was approved by Town Council. Text Amendment 2025-06, amending the Town of Chino Valley's Unified Development Ordinance to remove the business park zoning. That was approved by Town Council. Excuse me, it was retired, correct.
What was that, Will?
What was that again, Vice Chair?
That was 06?
Text Amendment TA 2025-06.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And then on January 27th, we had our last final plat, which was going to council, the Wineglass Lane Estates, FP 2025-01, which was approved by Town Council. And then Text Amendment 2025-07, which was amending the Town of Chino Valley Unified Development Ordinance That was getting rid of that exemption that came into play for water and sewer on the minor rural subdivisions if you created it before September of 2025. So that was approved by town council.
So can I question you guys a little bit right here? There's a little discussion amongst us about an item that was completely off subject of what was in the meeting tonight, but was during the meeting, so I want to bring it up. At this point, if there is a subdivision that's coming to be approved, that subdivision will be required to hook into town services, period, correct?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Okay, and if town services are not available, it will be up to the developer to bring those services to his project so he can do his project, is that correct?
I would say as a general statement, yes, there are alternatives that the the town engineer can approve, like on-site package. I believe that's still an option. But the general rule of thumb at this point in time is if there is a subdivision development by plat, you're connected to water and sewer
At least water, for sure.
Of any size.
of any size at this point. So there is some contention out there with, we're going to talk about the word rural again. Rural subdivisions, if you're wanting to do a true 5-acre subdivision in Chino Valley, water sewer, and that's hard. That's really hard. It's very hard to even do it above a 1/4 acre lot to get water or sewer out there. So I would anticipate in the future that there's going to be some, at least ask for discussion on this to figure out, are we handcuffing this down the line? Understand the importance of water and sewer within town of Chino Valley and managing our aquifer, but does that get rid of our ruralness?
And then one more question. If that doesn't apply for single-family homes to be, if it's a single property with a single-family home on it, not a subdivision,
Correct.
you can still have a septic and a well,
Yeah.
Up to 3, right?
if you have the right amount of land.
You
To
can
your
have
point,
up to
Commissioner,
3.
So if you're wanting, lot split, you have 3 acres, you want to cut it 3 times. But if water and sewer are there at your property line, you have to connect, but you don't have to extend to your property.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I had a question. The apartment complex that's down behind Circle K,
Yes.
that they have their own private septic system there. We approved that a while back for them to build a new apartment complex across the street on that empty lot. Isn't that about time? Did we put a time phase on that?
I am not recalling approval of a new apartment complex down there. South end of town by Circle K?
Yeah, I think it was like in Palomino or Butterfield.
Sorry, I'm thinking of north
North end.
Palomino Apartments. It's close. I believe there is a time limit on there. Following that approval, the developer came up and said, well, is it too late to ask for more units? And we said yes. And then he walked away.
Because if he wants to plan anything now, he's got to attach to towns. Once he hits that time that we put on it, he's gonna have to put sewer across 89 to build on there. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Got some good growing pains coming up. Already experiencing them. So.
Any other questions?
Mention mine, thank you.
All right, so I would make a call for a motion to adjourn, item G.
Motion to adjourn?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, commission.